You're about to hear something that most people refuse to say out loud.
Literally demonic human beings that are running the world and don't give a fuck about human lives.
That's Joe Rogan, and no, he's not talking about some conspiracy forum post. He's talking about what he personally read inside the Epstein files.
Files for not going.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going. Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
Rogan's name showed up in over 3 million pages of released documents, not because he went anywhere, but because he said no. And when members of Congress finally got access to what the government was hiding. But here's what nobody is connecting right now. Recent podcast conversations, including ones involving Duncan Trussell, have reignited a wave of online speculation about who else was in Epstein's orbit. Names are circulating, theories are stacking, and as more documents leak out, the line between rumor and reality is getting dangerously blurry. So in this video, we're going to do something different. We're going to show you exactly what's verified, what's speculation, and why certain powerful people are still being protected while the public fights over fragments. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll understand why even the people who know the truth are afraid to say it. Let's start with what's actually happening right now, because if you've been anywhere near podcast clips, Twitter threads, or Reddit deep dives lately, you've seen the names flying. Duncan Trussell, comedian, podcaster, longtime friend of Joe Rogan, has been part of recent conversations that have put the Epstein topic back into the spotlight. And while Trussell himself hasn't made any direct accusations, the discussions he's been involved in have opened the floodgates for speculation online. Here's the pattern. Someone brings up Epstein, someone else mentions the flight logs, then the guest lists, then the island, and suddenly names start getting thrown around, some verified, some completely unproven, and the internet does what it always does. It runs with it. Now, I need to be clear about something before we go any further. A lot of what's circulating online right now is unverified. Some of it is speculation, some of it is misinterpreted, and some of it is being spread by people who have no idea where the original claim even came from. But here's the thing that makes this moment different. We now have access to more official documentation than ever before. Over 3 million pages released by the Department of Justice, flight manifests, emails, internal communications, and buried inside those pages are names, connections, and patterns that the public was never supposed to see. So when people online start speculating about who might have been at Epstein's properties, who might have been part of his network, who might have been there for networking or influence or worse, they're not just making things up out of thin air anymore. They're filling in the gaps that the government left wide open. And that's exactly what Rogan realized when he started digging. Let's rewind to February 2026. Joe Rogan is recording a podcast episode with Cheryl Hines, actress and also the wife of RFK Jr., whose name also appears in the Epstein files. And right there, on air, Rogan drops a bomb.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm in the files for not going. Jeffrey Epstein was trying to meet with me.
The internet lost its mind. People started sharing headlines, Joe Rogan connected to Epstein, but that wasn't the story at all. Here's what actually happened. Back in 2017, a physicist named Lawrence Krauss, a former guest on Rogan's podcast, reached out to him. Krauss said Epstein had seen his work, thought he was funny, and wanted to set up a meeting. Rogan did what any normal person would do. He Googled the name gen.
Especially after I Googled him. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? This was like 2017. One of my guests was trying to get me to meet him. I was like, bitch, are you high? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That gut reaction, that immediate refusal, is the reason Rogan's name ended up in those files. Not because he went, because he didn't. And honestly, that tells you everything about how this system worked. Epstein wasn't just collecting powerful people. He was collecting invitations. He was documenting who said yes and who said no. Every interaction was logged. Every approach was recorded. And when those files finally dropped, it wasn't just a list of attendees. It was a map of influence. But here's where Rogan's story takes a darker turn, because once he started actually reading through those 3 million pages, once he started connecting names and emails and redactions, his reaction changed completely.
The fear of these literally demonic human beings that are running the world and don't give a fuck about human lives and enjoy watching people being tortured, enjoy watching people killed, participating in ritual sacrifice of people.
That's not speculation. That's not hyperbole. That's a man who has sat across from presidents, billionaires, and celebrities saying out loud what he saw in those documents. And what he saw points to one unavoidable conclusion. Epstein wasn't the top of the chain. He was the middle. On January 30th, 2026, the Department of Justice released what they called the largest document dump in the history of the Epstein case. Over 3 million pages, 180,000 images, 2,000 videos, all made public. The internet went into overdrive. People were searching for names, who visited the island, who flew on the jet, who knew what was happening. But almost immediately, something became very clear. The most important names, the ones that actually mattered, were blacked out. Now, the government's official explanation was simple. We redacted names to protect victims. And look, that sounds reasonable. Victims deserve privacy. Survivors deserve protection. No one's arguing with that. But here's where things fall apart. 2 members of Congress, Thomas Massie, a Republican, and Ro Khanna, a Democrat, co-authored something called the Epstein Files Transparency Act. They demanded access to the unredacted versions of those documents. And when they finally saw what was being hidden, Massie came out publicly and said, on the floor of the House of Representatives, Khanna read 6 names that had been improperly redacted, names that had no business being hidden, names that weren't victims at all.
Salvatore Navora, Zorab Mikaladze, Leopig Leonor, Nicola Caputa, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of Dubai Ports World, and billionaire businessman Leslie Wexner, who was labeled as a co-conspirator by the FBI.
Let that sink in. The FBI labeled Les Wexner, the billionaire founder of Victoria's Secret, a co-conspirator. And when those documents were released to the public, his name was redacted in the only place it mattered most, the document that specifically listed co-conspirators. Massie confronted the DOJ.
Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document?
Within 40 minutes of Massie calling them out, Wexner's name was magically added back in. But here's the thing. Wexner's name appears in over 4,000 other places in those files. They got it right every single time. Except the one document that called him a co-conspirator. That's not an accident, that's a choice.
How come you redact some people and you don't redact other people? What is this? This is not good.
So who are these people, and why does the government seem so determined to protect them? Let's start with Les Wexner. You might not recognize his name, but you definitely know his business. Wexner is the billionaire founder and former CEO of Victoria's Secret. He's on the Forbes list for decades. He's politically connected, socially powerful, the kind of man who makes phone calls and things happen. And here's what you need to understand about his relationship with Epstein. Epstein didn't just know Epstein. Epstein made Epstein. He gave Epstein full power of attorney over his financial empire. That means Epstein could make decisions, move money, and act on Wexner's behalf legally. He gave him his $77 million Manhattan mansion, the same mansion where investigators later found evidence of abuse. He essentially gave Epstein access to the most powerful people on the planet. And remember, this mansion is the same one where that infamous photo of Bill Clinton in a dress was reportedly hanging in the foyer, like a trophy, like proof that powerful men had been compromised. Wexner's public story has always been, I was tricked. I cut ties in 2007 when I found out. But the files show decades of closeness, shared properties, shared access, not the picture of a man who was fooled. Now let's talk about the other name, the one that should disturb you even more. Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem. He's a Dubai billionaire, former chairman of DP World, one of the largest shipping hubs in the planet. We're talking major shipping hubs in 70 countries. This is a man connected to international governments, trade deals, and the Dubai royal network. And in an email found inside the Epstein files, Epstein writes to bin Sulayem. The email says, and I'm reading this exactly as it appears in the documents. Read that again. I loved the torture video. Bin Sulayem's reply? Completely casual. I am in China. I'll be in the US second week of May. Like they're talking about the weather. Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem's name appears in those files over 5,000 times. Emails about explicit content, years and years of back and forth. But when those files were released, his name was redacted. Why? Because protecting him means protecting international relationships, trade deals, port access, diplomatic connections. When his name was finally unredacted and that torture email went public, bin Sulayem resigned from DP World. But he has not been charged with a single crime.
Why would your name be redacted if you're not a victim? Like, what the fuck?
He resigned, he walked away, and the government let him go. That's what being above the law actually looks like. Now here's where the conversation gets uncomfortable, because this same pattern, this culture of protection, doesn't just exist in government. It exists in Hollywood too, and some very famous names are caught right in the middle of it. Let me be clear. Oprah Winfrey is not in the Epstein files in any meaningful way. The viral videos claiming she visited his island 11 times? Completely false. Debunked. Multiple fact-checkers confirmed it. But here's what is documented. Oprah was close friends with Harvey Weinstein for decades. Not a passing acquaintance. Close friends. And during a lawsuit, actress Katie Noble testified that Weinstein used Oprah, literally used her physical presence, her celebrity, her name, to build Noble's trust before assaulting her. Oprah attended Diddy's infamous parties that are now the subject of serious criminal allegations. And in 2007, a dormitory matron at Oprah School in South Africa was charged with abusing 6 students. When the Weinstein scandal broke, Oprah gave a famous speech. And in it, she said, "If we make this just about Harvey Weinstein, then we will have lost this moment." On the surface, that sounds noble. Zoom out, think bigger. But look at what it also does. It shifts the focus. It moves the conversation away from her years of friendship with him. This is a pattern, and it's not new. When Corey Feldman went on live TV and tried to expose Hollywood's abuse problem, tried to name names, tried to speak up, Barbara Walters told him on air, protect the industry, not the victims.
Some people get intoxicated by being in a circle of rich and powerful people. Even if they're not they don't even have any ambitions of being one of those people. They just want to be around them.
When you're that intoxicated with access, you don't ask questions. You don't look too closely. You just enjoy the proximity to power. And that normalization, that silent complicity, is exactly how these systems survive. So, let's bring this back to where we started. Right now, across podcasts, social media, and online forums, names are being thrown around constantly. Some of those names are backed by documents. Some are backed by flight logs. Some are pure speculation. And here's the dangerous part. Most people can't tell the difference. The conversations sparked by figures like Duncan Trussell aren't necessarily spreading misinformation, but they are opening the door for others to fill in blanks with guesses. When official channels refuse to release full information, when the government redacts names that shouldn't be redacted, when transparency is promised but never delivered, the public doesn't just accept silence. They speculate, they theorize, they connect dots that may or may not belong together. And that's exactly what's happening right now. Some of the names circulating online are legitimately suspicious. Others are completely innocent people caught in a rumor cycle they never asked to be part of. The problem isn't that people are asking questions. The problem is that the institutions that should be answering those questions are still protecting the people at the top.
If you're redacting names and they're not victims, what are you doing?
That's the question that still doesn't have an answer. Here's what nobody is talking about loudly enough. The DOJ is still sitting on an estimated 2 million documents that have not been released to the public, not even to members of Congress. We've seen 3 million pages, and what we found shook the world. Imagine what's in the 2 million they're still holding back. Epstein is dead, but the network he served, still alive. The people above him, still in power. And the government, the same one that promised full transparency, is still, right now, protecting them.
Literally demonic human beings that are running the world and don't give a fuck about human lives.
But I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now. Do you think the full truth will ever come out, or are the people at the top too protected to ever face consequences? If this video opened your eyes to something you hadn't seen before, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story is nowhere near over. There are 2 million pages the public still hasn't seen, and when more comes out, you'll see it here first. See you in the next one.